Welcome into another episode of the Laser Bros podcast. We're your hosts, Logan and Luke Lazarchik. Today, September 26, 2025, Friday. We are back with another recording of an episode for the Week 3 recap, Week 4 look ahead, our game picks for this upcoming slate of games. Luke, I know you took off work today and you got to enjoy yourself on your day off, and now we're here recording our podcast.
No, yeah, I took off today. I saw one battle after another. That was very good movie. Very good movie. Now I'm ready for this. I'm ready for the weekend.
Yes, the week kind of dragged on for me. I don't know how you felt, but it felt like it was a kind of slow week. I don't know if you felt the same way, but for me, it was kind of dragged a little bit. But yeah, I'm happy the weekend's here. Before we start with what we're going to talk about, just a reminder to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave comments for the video, and listen anywhere you get podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. So let's start with the Week 3 recap, and we'll talk about a handful of games from this week. The first one we'll talk about, not very exciting game. My ear is still ringing from Luke yelling on our couch during this game. It was a pretty ugly game. I think, we both had Falcons winning. I forgot if you had Falcons covering. I had Falcons covering. I thought for sure that they would win this game pretty handily. And Michael Penix and his offense basically didn't show up to play. It was and the Panthers offense really didn't even show up to play either. Bryce Young had less than, I think, 150 yards passing, and they still scored 30 points. 7 of those points came from a pick six. Is it time to panic on the Falcons?
Yes, it is time to panic on the Falcons. I oddly did have Panthers covering. Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible to watch. Michael Penix, I am legit concerned, and I'll watch him come around and have a great week. But I am legit concerned about Michael Penix. The defense, the defense did let the Panthers, who just lost 2 interior linemen, really run on them quite easily. Like Chuba and Rico Dowdle were getting some good work in. But, it's just the Falcons are a mess. They're a mess. They're always a mess. They made the wrong coaching hire probably. I don't care how bad he's doing. You should have hired Belichick. Be better than this. And now you're in this. If we miss the playoffs again, it feels like you just got to – and I don't say we as me, but just as like if you're a Falcons fan or if you're a Falcons, if you miss the playoffs again, I don't know. It's like another restart.
Yeah, I don't think Raheem Morris is that good of a head coach. I don't think Zach Robinson's that good of an OC. I think Zach Robinson, worked with Sean McVay, and everybody kind of, assumed that he would kind of take some of Sean McVay's offensive, schemes and carry it over to Atlanta. But it is quite alarming the fact that they got shut out against a Panthers team that, just got – I know they almost came back and beat Cardinals in week 2, but they were pretty much manhandled in that game. Bryce Young, I think 3 of his career wins in his career, as I said, are against the Falcons. And I don't know, the Falcons offense at times just looks way too difficult. And Michael Penix is very quick to check the ball down to Bijan, which isn't a bad safety valve, but you have Drake London, you have Kyle Pitts, you have Darnell Mooney. You have the weapons there. You have good protection. Falcons, I have them in some of my division parlays. I'm basically penciling those in as lost parlays at this point, unless something, Buccaneers still have a lot of injuries, but it doesn't feel like the Falcons are going to be able to take advantage of that. It feels very much like last year where the Bucs had a lot of injuries, start slow. The Falcons actually had that division. They had a 3-game lead mid-season, kind of coughed up due to Kirk Cousins. But it kind of feels like it's going to be the same type of thing this year where Falcons really have everything to work with to win this division. Bucs are beat up, shorthanded, out multiple receivers again, but it just feels like they're going to somehow find a way to not win this division.
No, yeah, I
know it's week 3, like week 4.
The Bucs are winning games with everyone hurt. I think that just shows you the difference between 2 teams. It's just like the Bucs, they find a way. The Falcons find a way to lose. Bucs are 3-0, and they are not at the current moment. They're not a 3-0 team, but like in 4 or 5 weeks, they get a lot of people back healthy. They'll still be out a couple people who they lost for the year, but much more resilient team down there in Tampa.
Yeah, and then another thing is, storyline of the offseason was what were the Falcons going to do with Kirk Cousins, and they ultimately didn't trade him because there wasn't anything on the market that they found fit the price tag for Kirk Cousins services. And I think the fact that you don't get rid of Kirk Cousins now, it actually puts more pressure on Michael Penix. I think if there's no Kirk Cousins back there, that he wouldn't really have to look over his shoulder if he struggled. It's like, I can struggle and I'll still figure things out. But now he's probably looking over his shoulder, just subconsciously each and every week if he continues to struggle. And there's even a question this week to Raheem Morris about, will Kirk Cousins come in at some point? And Raheem Morris shut that down very quickly. But it's just like you have those type of questions now that you have, Penix struggling and Kirk Cousins still there on the bench.
I mean, yeah, there's those questions. I guess that just depends on Michael Penix's mindset. But I feel like if Kirk Cousins were to ever take over, it'd be when it's already too late. I feel like they're going to give Penix. It's his first year starting.
Well, Penix can get the runway. He'll get the long.
If he's worrying about Kirk Cousins, then this year's already over.
Yeah, and I mean Panthers. I don't think we expect anything much from them. I think they could very well lose this week, and we'll talk about that game later. But yeah, Falcons. Also, I mean, I don't want to say that they have 0% chance of winning this division because you never know what happens, but it just doesn't seem like they have the coaching staff or quarterback at the moment to take advantage of the Bucs' injuries. Mm-hmm. Let's move to another NFC battle. The Rams and the Eagles, these two teams most likely playoff teams at the end of the year. Rams really, they looked like the way better team first half. They were up 19-7. Really should have been maybe 26-7, 27-7. They had a touchdown called back due to the penalty, had to settle for another field goal after a forced fumble. Eagles offense, I mean, looked pretty much the same, and I don't really feel much different about this offense, even though that they explode in the second half. I think they were pretty much forced into that game script, into that style of play. A.J. Brown had 0 catches, 1 target in the first half, and then he explodes for 6 catches for 109 yards and a touchdown in the second half. And Devontae Smith was also very solid, also catching a touchdown. But, I mean, I still have my concerns about the Eagles. Are you on the same wavelength as me, or do you think that they kind of figure things out?
I mean, for me, it's more about their defense. I don't think the defense is that great. That's honestly my thought. I think the offense kind of shows you that if they really have to, they can turn it on. And I think that I don't love the coaching, kind of making Hurts just kind of out of nowhere have to then play like a true quarterback. And he didn't make the best throws in the world, but he got the job done like he always does. He gets the job done. But so, yeah, I don't feel any concerns about Hurts. The offense, if they have to, they can turn it on. It's more those close games where but for their division, I feel pretty confident about. So to me, it's just, I don't think their defense is that good. And then in terms of the Rams, it's just I feel pretty good about the Rams. Sometimes you blow a game. I feel like he had 2 field goals blocked. It's just what the heck was that? So for me, it's more, I think the biggest takeaway for me is the Eagles defense is not that good.
And they also lost Nolan Smith.
Yeah. I don't think the defense isn't good. And I think that's my takeaway. I feel pretty much the same about the Rams. I feel like the Eagles offense showed what they can do, but they play very safe. So, yeah, it's just that defense they could win the division, maybe even get a top 2 seed. But when it really matters, I don't know how the defense is going to show out.
And Saquon Barkley is also not having these explosive runs like he was last year. It's not to say that he's fallen off or anything, but there could be some fatigue from last year. He had over 400 touches in the regular season and playoffs combined. Mm-hmm. Could there be some fatigue there? I think what was his rushing total this week? Do you have 13 for 46? Is that what I may be remembering wrong? And I'll double check real quick. But I'm going to check his rushing outputs for the season as a whole while I'm looking at it. Let me see real quick. But it's just not the same type of production that he had last season. That he had what was he? Yeah, 18 for 46. So he averaged 2.6 yards per carry. His longest run was 12 yards. It's just the offense isn't as explosive. And then he had 4 catches for 9 yards. It's just not. Right now that you're just not getting the same type of just cheap touchdowns like you were last season, mm-hmm. And the offense. I don't know. I think it's a combination of coaching and then Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl and all that. I still think he has limitations, and I wasn't really impressed with the offense at all. Even the second half, I'm there's still plays that they left on the field, and they have the Bucs this week. I mean, there's a very good chance they may be 4-0 because Bucs are beat up. I mean, they'll probably continue to find ways to win games. The tush push they are still committing penalties on. I was more impressed with the Rams, even though they lost. I felt better about the Rams coming out of that game, even though they came with the L.
No, yeah, I would agree. I do think that It would be interesting if the Eagles kind of changed course and all of a sudden went aggressive. I could see Sirianni like mid-year flipping that, and that'd be interesting to see if Hurts was throwing it around 30 times a game. I mean, I think he played well. Not every throw is perfect, but he got the job done again, and I think he just re-solidifies. Everyone knows he's not a top guy, but he is that next tier. He has a lot to work with, but he still gets the job done. Not everyone does so. And he ran for 40 yards, and he has 4 rushing touchdowns on the year. But that's kind of crazy. But no, yeah, I thought the Rams looked pretty well, and then it just kind of didn't work. Also, I forgot my light.
Now you look very. I can see a light reflecting off your glasses.
Yeah.
Now. So for me, just last point before we move on, I would probably say these two teams are probably the favorites in their divisions. That's where I stand. I don't know if you still are the 49ers winning the.
We'll see how the 49ers with the.
I just think there's so many injuries.
I would say it's a gut feeling for me because I think the Rams have. The Niners they're like the Bucks where they're working through stuff very well. So I think it's between those two teams in the West.
Okay. And I think it's part of course. I mean, if we had to play a guessing game, what player gets hurt for the 49ers this week? It's just that's the type of game you're kind of playing with San Francisco at the moment. So right now, these are probably the two teams I would say to win their respective divisions. Let's now move to the AFC side of things. Chargers, Broncos, AFC West divisional matchup. Chargers really had control of this game, and we were watching the game together. Chargers had a 10-0 lead. They give up that just walk-in touchdown by Cortland Sutton on a blown coverage right before the half, and it felt like the game really flipped there. And I kept saying to you if the Chargers lose the game, that's where they lost it by allowing Broncos to cut the game to 3, really losing control. And then Broncos had a 20-13 lead late in the fourth, and Justin Herbert makes a miraculous throw, rolling to his left, getting hit in the face, and hitting Keenan Allen in the back of the end zone to tie the game, and then ultimately they win on a game-winning field goal as time expires. I'll tell you what, man, the Chargers, I do have concerns. I'll let you go first, but I do have concerns about, certain things, but they are 3-0, and they're 3-0 against their division.
No, yeah, the Chargers, Herbert's playing great. I think that's the big thing. Obviously, the O-line's not looking great. The defense, I think at this point, you just have to admit it's a pretty good defense, though I think Bo Nix left a lot on the field. I still think Broncos are the better team. I think just right now, I don't know if it was the expectations out of the offseason. Bo Nix coming in second season just struggling. But he's had like 4 or 5 overall deep throws where it's just been like 3 inches away from being a great throw, but he's overthrown it and the receiver can't get it. And I think Bo Nix pretty solid, but he has to hit those. And I still think he will eventually get that right. I think that's just one of those things he's missing right now. It's like how Mahomes, I still think he has a great deep ball, but he has not had it as of late, even going back to last year. But then he threw better last week, Mahomes did. So if Bo Nix just shores up his play a little bit, because he's had a rough start to the year, I still think Broncos are a top-end team. But if he can't do that, then you're going to see these games they blow like this. Broncos could easily be 3-0. They should have won the week before, and they probably should have won this week. Like, they should be 3-0. So I still think they're good. I'm not too concerned about them. And the Chargers are pretty good. The O-line's a concern, but that's about it for them. And they played a great pass rush. So both these teams, I ended up being like, they're pretty good teams. They're pretty good teams. Not too many concerns.
Yeah, the offensive line is a concern for me for the Chargers. You already lost Rashawn Slater. Trey Pipkins went out of that game, I believe. Mekhi Becton left that game with injury as well. Your whole right side of your line is now pretty much short. Like, you had to shift Joe Alt to left tackle. Chargers, I think their defensive unit may be the best coach unit in the entire league. Like, outside of Derwin James, what player do you recognize on that defense as, potential star player? They're really, like, Khalil Mack's out right now. They have some really young talent. I think Jesse Minter, could be the best coordinator. He's arguably, I think, I'd probably put him in top 3 defense coordinator right now. And Spags, him, there's probably another name in there. But for me, I think the Chargers personnel, like you said, when you look at these teams on paper, the Broncos, I think, have way more talent than the Chargers. The Quinn Johnson's playing really well. He complements Keenan Allen. Ladd McConkey's fulfilling his role. Amari Hampton, explosive back. They did lose Najee, but I mean, how much does Najee really offer at this point other than it's kind of a bowling ball? I don't really think he's,
I thought Najee looked good before he got hurt.
he's looked good, but like at this point, the way they use him, he's only getting a handful of carries per game. And then he went down with the Achilles injury. But yeah, for the Chargers, I mean, if you look at their schedule, I mean, the next 3 weeks you have Washington, Miami, and then there's another weak team in there that they're playing. I think it's Washington, Miami, and then Giants. Giants this week.
Well, the Giants first, and then Washington.
Giants first, then Washington, then Miami. So it's just like if you really look at their schedule, there's really a lot of teams on there where you have Houston later in the year. Who knows how good they are? You have, as I said, Miami. It's really weak schedule. Tennessee, Pittsburgh. If they win the games that they should win, there's no reason that they should not win this division, in my opinion.
No, they have a full-on lead. I think that no matter, like, I still think if I had to rank the best teams, like who I think is going to be the best team playing, like by week 17, I'd still go Broncos 1, Chiefs 2, Chargers 3. But the Chargers can get enough of a lead, and the Broncos, maybe they continue to falter a little more and then pick it up. Chiefs, not going to have Rice for a few more weeks. We'll have Worthy. We'll see what happens there, but facing the Ravens. So they can build themselves up a lead where you can look at it and they're going to be like the 2 seed. And maybe you're like, they're not really deserving of the 2 seed. Also, the 2 seed's really up for grabs, by the way.
But Buffalo's being the 1.
Yeah, and then like
you got outside of Chargers, and I don't mean to interrupt you, outside of Chargers, they may have the easiest schedule in the league.
Yeah. So, I mean, the 2 seeds up. Chargers could be 12-5, and you could be like, they're not playing great. And so they could still be the 2 seed. And then at that point, anything can happen, even though. And I guess I saw someone say that their home field's doing better this year. Maybe
they're
getting hyped about Herbert.
Yeah. I think by week 6, there's a good chance, they're 5-1, 6-0, and the Chiefs are 2-4. And who knows about the Broncos? And at that point, it's like they have no excuse to lose this division. It would be their division to lose at that point. So these next 3 weeks, I think, are going to show us a lot about and, give us a clear picture of if the Chargers are really going to win this division. But these are huge 3 weeks, in my opinion.
If the Broncos can win this week and next week against the Eagles.
Who's the next 3 weeks?
Well, I was just going to get into.
Sorry.
Face Bengals this week, then Philly. So that's the next 2 weeks. So let's say they beat Philly. Yeah, I mean, they're fully capable of beating Philly. Then they got Jets, Giants, Dallas, Houston, Raiders, Chiefs, bye. And you got Washington, Raiders, Green Bay. I mean, so their schedule theoretically. The longer the season goes, the more I'm willing to look at schedules because we're learning more. It's like that. But I still don't fully do it because every week's different. But that's an easy schedule too. That's an easy schedule.
And I don't know if you had a chance to look at the Chargers schedule. I kind of laid it out.
No, I just looked at it while you're talking about it.
Yeah, it's very, very easy. I mean, they're like I said, if they win the games that they should win, and they're going to be favored, I think, in a lot of these games. I think it's like week 9, week 10 they face the Colts. That'll definitely be an interesting game. Both those teams could be 1-2 loss teams at that point. So I know us two will be watching that game pretty closely because Daniel Jones is your guy. Herbert's my guy. We defend both those quarterbacks, so that will be a pretty exciting game to watch together. So, yeah, I think Chargers right now, clear top hand in the division, undefeated against all divisional teams. So we'll have to see how it plays out next. I think in the next 3 weeks we'll find out more about where this division stands, of course. Mm-hmm. Last game from week 3 that we'll talk about, Monday Night Football, the Lions against the Ravens. I chose the Ravens to win this game. They're 4.5-point favorites entering this contest. And really the same questions, same concerns for me arise from watching this game for the Ravens. Predictable play calling, not utilizing Derrick Henry enough. Matabuike was out of this game, and it really showed. The Lions just basically ran down the Ravens' throat the entire game. And the Ravens really didn't have any answers for the Lions' offense. And the Lions, blueprint's too far, but, they put a quarterback spy on Lamar Jackson, and they got 7 sacks on him by playing that type of formula. So I think the Lions have kind of proven after the week 1 loss to Green Bay that they are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. And I think people, including myself, were a little bit too worried after that week 1 game.
Agreed.
First game with 2 coordinators, really elite defense, moving parts, players still figuring out, probably a different scheme outside Ben Johnson's, play calling. And they kind of have proven people wrong that I put a lot of money on Packers winning their division this year. That may be something I regret, and not enough money on the Lions. And for the Ravens, I mean, as I said, same issues and concerns I have pretty much the last 2 years with them, and they're 1-2 again for the second consecutive year.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. Looking at the Lions, I'll just start there. I mean, yeah, if you keep Goff protected, they're going to beat most teams. I think it's that simple. And I think people forgot how good the roster was because everyone got hurt. And then they do these things where Marcus Davenport's hurt, and then they pick up Al-Quadon Muhammad, who's been played for the Colts and the Bears beforehand, and I think he was drafted by the Saints, but he didn't play for them to my knowledge. And he had 2.5 sacks. He has 3.5 sacks on the year. And Aiden Hutchinson, he has 2 sacks this year, but he's been good. They have all these different players, and this is what.
And they signed DJ Reed.
Yeah, give their coordinators a little time, and look, they really will. Now, I still think the Ravens offense moved on them, but the Ravens are going to move on everyone. But then on the Ravens side, it's again full trust in the overall offensive from play to play. I think I'm getting concerned about their situational football. I mean, Derrick Henry fumbling a lot is weird, and I'm assuming he's not going to lose another fumble the rest of the season. I'm just going to make that guess. Now watch him fumble against the Chiefs. I guess the Chiefs would be a good. Chiefs get a lot of fumbles, but yeah, the defense without Madubuike, I mean,
and he may be out. He may be out multiple. It's a neck injury, and neck injuries for defensive linemen, offensive linemen are pretty, scary injuries to have for those type of players.
No, I think he may be going to the Chris because he's really good. Madubuike. But I think he may be getting on that Chris Jones level where the Chiefs defense a few years ago without Chris Jones is just unrecognizable. And that's what it looks like with him because you have Kyle Hamilton, but since okay, we have who else we got here? I mean, we have Marlon Humphrey. How good is he still? Kyle Van Noy's hurt. Oh my gosh, how many sacks? How many sacks do they have this year? Is that only 4?
I want to say they have Oweh, but their edge rushers.
But I mean, is Oweh even that good? I think
no. But that's my point. Is it's similar to the Chiefs where all these pass rushers kind of play off of. They kind of play off of Chris Jones a little bit, and Madubuike not being there, nobody can really generate their own pass rush. Now they got some sacks in this game. I think how many sacks they have?
No, they didn't. They
didn't have sacks. Okay. I don't know for the Ravens for me, and I've said it the last 2 or 3 years now, and I think you're finally you're kind of finally joining that.
I mean, I was never saying. I wasn't super far from you, but yeah, you've been on it more.
No, but the John Harbaugh situation,
yeah.
the coach. This game was, I don't know if microcosm is the right word, but this is exactly what they do in the playoffs, and this is why it's tough for me to trust them in the playoffs. They don't play when they get in these type of games. They don't play to their strengths. Derrick Henry had 12 carries this game. And the first drive, he ran for a 28-yard touchdown. I think he had 4 or 5 carries the first drive. And if I'm sitting on my couch and every time Justice Hill's in the game and I can say they're throwing the ball, these defense coordinators and opposing coaches know that's the case as well. Play calling super predictable. They have no excuse not to score on goal to go. When they're on the goal line, they have no excuses. I know Derrick Henry got stuffed 3 times. Okay, fine. Do a read option and have Derrick Henry. If you ran a read option of Lamar and Derrick Henry almost every time, it would almost work every time because Lamar could take it or you can hand off to Derrick Henry. And then the fact that they have Justice Hill in the game on 4th and goal and they throw it, this is why I don't trust them in the playoffs. And I know I sound like a Lamar hater, but this is coaching and situation.
I don't think it's on Lamar.
No, I'm not saying that either. But I think it's coaching, and they don't put the right personnel in at the right time. And defensively, they're a mess. This is why I will never trust them in the playoffs.
No, yeah, and it's more I think it's the Lions. They always stick to their identity. Meanwhile, the Ravens kind of fade away from it. I mean, but even the Ravens have 3 sacks this year, and 2 are Madubuike. I mean, that's bad. 3 sacks through 3 games.
That's another thing. Go ahead.
I'm just looking at their stats. It's I think Lamar's been excellent. I truly think Josh Allen's been the best quarterback, and I would say Lamar's been the second best still. But I think he's lost 2 shootouts, and I can't put the blame really on him at all. I think this is a blame. Lamar is blameless. I mean, I think he's playing so well. He had one off throw, but I swear every throw I've seen from him this season, besides that one, has been a perfect place ball. He's still, I mean, he's completing like 70% of his passes. Let me see. I'm looking through it right now. No, that's running. 72% of his passes, 9 touchdowns, 0 picks, and he's ran for 118 yards, but she's not running for as much per game as he usually does. I mean, it's not his fault. This is not that good of a football team, in my opinion.
No, and that's the other thing. That's I have two things about the Ravens. My first point I made about coaching situationally, and every year I hear these like pundits and commentators say that Ravens have the best overall roster in the entire league, and it's like they don't. You have Lamar, Derrick Henry. I'm not in love with the receivers. I think Zay Flowers is very talented, but outside of that, nobody really scares me. Isaiah Likely, I guess, when he's healthy, can scare you a little bit. Mark Andrews can produce at times. But defensively, like their weapons and defense does not scare me at all.
But you have to include Derrick Henry in the weapons, and they have 2 tight ends and Zay Flowers, and Bateman's been a good deep ball player, not this year yet, but I think the weapons thing, it's like they have good weapons. Is it the best weapons in the world? No, but even when the Chiefs have Rice and Worthy back, the weapons, honestly, I'd maybe still take Ravens weapons.
Oh, I still would.
Yeah, exactly. So they don't have that bad of weapons.
Well, okay, when I say weapons, I mean more of, and we view Rashad Bateman differently. I mean past like Derrick, Chiefs weapons. I mean, you have Derrick Henry compared to Pacheco. I think that's pretty much that's pretty clear.
But
for me,
okay too. He's a low end.
For me, the Ravens in these big games against really good teams, it really seems like they press a lot. That's just what I see when I'm watching them. They press a lot. They're emotional. It's tough for me to trust this team in these type of big games, and I did trust them to win this game because they are a very good regular season team. But I still have those doubts about them when it comes to January and late in the playoffs. So, but yeah, Lions. I think right now Green Bay's still the favorites. But Green Bay coughed up a game last week. Jordan Love's kind of tough to trust, and Jared Goff's is a steady quarterback. If you keep him protected, he can really dice up your defense. But yeah, Lions. I would probably say I really like I picked them before the year to win the division, and I kind of swayed away from that, overreacting week 1, and I probably go back to that pick. Anything else from this game that you want to touch on before we move to the Thursday night game and our week 4 picks?
No, I think we covered it about there.
All right, so let's go to the Thursday night game. Really not that entertaining game, not that good of a game. That's the case most of the time with these Thursday night games. Both teams have very short time to prepare and all that. Seattle, I mean, you have to give credit. Sam Darnold wins again. They're 3-1. They win another divisional game. Kyler Murray in this Cardinals offense is impossible to watch. It's tough to watch. It's tough to watch.
I'm done with the Cardinals. I don't really care about them anymore. My only concern is Trey McBride on our dynasty team. That's about it. I mean, yeah, I don't want to talk about the Cardinals a lot. Marvin Harrison redeemed himself later in the game, but still, how truly good is he? We'll see.
He has a great situation.
I'm done with Kyler. I'm just done with Kyler. Maybe he needs a fresh start. He could be someone who gets a fresh start. He's not going to go here because they have their quarterback. But a situation like the Lions, where it's just like very like they have a structure, they have game plan. It's not like the quarterback kind of gets helped, and Kyler, he needs a place where he only needs to make 1 or 2 plays, and he needs a good O-line where he's not backing off his back foot. That's with them. And then on Seattle, they're looking a little better than I thought. I still don't love them. Darnold's making the right throws right now, but I still think this defense has – it's not – people are saying like top 5. I'm like, I'm moving maybe toward like top 12. I need to see more, but like right there, the Cardinals thing kind of brought it back. I'm still not in love with the overall offense, O-line, running game. I mean, you have JSN. So feeling better about the Seahawks than I did. And then Cardinals, I don't care that you're 3-1. There's probably 20 teams I'd take over the Cardinals.
So I heard an interesting stat today about the Seattle pass rush. Mm-hmm. So they're generating the most pressure in the league, and they're blitzing the second fewest amount of any defense in the league. So that means they're getting pressure with their front 4, which I think that's a very good thing. If your defense can generate pressure with only your defensive line and then drop 7 back in coverage, you're going to find a lot of success. Now, the games they've played are 49ers, Saints, Pittsburgh, and Cardinals last night. So
Yeah,
four
better lines.
subpar offensive lines. So that stat may not be as sticky as we think, and they may it may plummet a little bit in the next few weeks against tougher opponents. But I still really like Seattle's defensive personnel. Mike McDonald, really good defensive coach. We saw what he did in Baltimore as a defensive coordinator, and really he was the usually offensive coordinators are the golden child of the head coaching vacancies, and he was a golden child for defensive coordinators when he was going for a head coaching job, and it showed. I think he's a very good coach, very good defensive mind, and I really like the talent on that defense. I know we kind of disagree about where the defense stands. I do think that you can solidify them as a top 10 unit right now. Now, like I said, the opponents they've played, not very strong, but I do think I would have them cemented as a top 10 unit right now.
I mean, I think they have the chance to be. I'm not there yet. I mean, maybe their chance if I went through it, they would.
Because it's a fast young defense, man.
Because there's been defenses like the Jets,
tough, but yeah,
there's defenses like the Jets I thought were going to be better. I never loved the Ravens defense. I still thought it'd be better than this. I mean, so maybe if I counted through 10, maybe they would be in my top 10 at the moment. Because also Eagles doesn't look that great. Maybe, who knows? But I'm not in love with the defense.
The NFC side of things. Like I would say they're probably the second or first. Like I would probably say them and 49ers are the top two defenses in their division. That's probably what I would say.
I'd put Rams ahead of.
I would take Seattle. I would personally
give me Rams defense.
Rams secondary is not. It's a pretty weak unit. They have a very good defensive line front seven, but the corners. I think Seattle's more of a complete defense.
I'd still take Rams defense over. I feel better about their defense. I feel better about like the Vikings defense.
Taking over the Bears, obviously.
Lions, I think, is interesting. I don't know yet. I think it's still a little more to learn about the Lions defense. Giants, I think they've just been so tortured by their offense. I think their defense hasn't really been given a shot. So yeah, I'm not fully sure, but no, they're at least a good defense. I'll agree, but I don't know how good they are. They've played, and Aaron Rodgers, if not for like a stupid couple plays, would have dropped like near 30 on them. But Calvin Austin messed up a touchdown and stuff spiraled. So I don't fully know.
I think that, like the Chargers thing, we'll find out in the next few weeks how real the Seattle team is. And
Chargers defense better than Seattle.
Well, yeah. So, and I'll also make this last point, and then you can react or have any other comments you want. But like before the year, I was on the side of it was a very smart move for Seattle to move off of Geno Smith and get Sam Darnold. You got Sam Darnold. This year he's a $13 million cap hit, and next year he's a $33 million cap hit. Meanwhile, Geno Smith's getting paid around $45 million a year. I think, how old is Geno Smith? He's 35 now, 36?
30-something, 34.
And Sam Darnold's only 28 years old. I think he's older than 34, but I may be wrong.
2012 draft?
I want to say he's 35.
I think I said 30. I think he's 35. No, yeah, I always liked the moving off Geno Smith. I wasn't sure about Darnold. I think he's played well. I still think like he wasn't good against the Niners. But overall, I've been like positive on Sam Darnold, positive on their defense. I mean, I thought they were like going to be like a 6-11, 7-10, and now I think that they'll be in the playoff consideration in some sort. I'd still say they're third best team in division in my opinion. Still give me Niners and Rams, but I think they're like not that far off. So
I mean, I had them finishing second in the West. And I mean, if 49ers injuries continue to do, like if it continues on a spiral, and I think losing
34 for Geno.
Okay, so you got 6 years younger at quarterback, about $12 million per year cheaper, and Sam Darnold right now is taking way better care of the ball. And I mean, I always thought the Geno Smith stuff was always off.
I like Geno. I do think his offensive line is playing maybe the worst offensive line in football right now.
Okay, but like Sam Darnold's playing behind the same offensive line that he did last year.
Yeah, but I think their O-line's playing better than the Raiders. I think their coaching is better than last year because I think their coaching's better than last year. I still think Geno's a solid quarterback. I think We'll see on Geno with the Raiders. I don't blame him. It's not his fault. I mean, Ashton Genty has more yards after contact than yards. So
Good point. Good point. Anything else from this game before we move to our Week 4 predictions?
Nope.
All right. So last week, what was your money line
It was
record?
bad. My money line was 8-7.
Okay, I think mine was exactly the same.
And then my spread was bad. 5-9-1.
Okay, I was 4-10-1 on spread. It was very bad.
That's the third. Every week I've said my picks have sucked, and yours have just sucked a little more.
The spread was really bad last week for me. I think I had Chiefs winning, but Giants covering for some stupid. That was the first time Chiefs have covered in a while. I feel like.
Yeah, Giants covering.
Yeah.
Well, I got a couple. I got Panthers to cover. I picked the Lions to win, so that was huge.
So yeah, that'll give you edge.
Yeah, no, that was helpful.
Yeah, so week 3, we're gonna put that in the rearview mirror. Go to week 4, first game of the week in Ireland, the Vikings versus Steelers. I am shocked by this line. Vikings -2.5. I know Carson Wentz is starting, but I mean Steelers last week they won a game they shouldn't have. The Patriots basically gave them that game for free with the 5 turnovers. How do you see this one playing out? Do you think this could be closer than people think, or are you siding with your Vikings?
I do think this will be a somewhat close game, but in the end, I'm taking the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings, I know the Bengals are looking bad, but they slaughtered them. I mean, I know they had a couple defensive touchdowns, but I think that Wentz did a very good job, did his job. I like that he actually targeted Justin Jefferson when sometimes you just need to force the best receiver of the ball sometimes, not all the time, just sometimes. So, yeah, I feel good about them. I think they're the better team, so I think they're going to come out and have a good win. I don't think they're going to, knock the doors off the Steelers, but, yeah, I think they should win and cover.
So, Aaron Rodgers played the Vikings last year in London before the Jets. And this game is I think it's just a straight-up reflection of the situation from last year. Aaron Rodgers plays for a defensive coach, for an offense coordinator that we have questions about. He played for Nat Hackett then. He plays for Arthur Smith now. Both teams had bad offensive lines. Both teams had talented defenses, but disappointing defenses, even though they have a lot of talent on those sides of the ball. And both offenses only really have one weapon that they really rely on, Garrett Wilson then and DK Metcalf now. And that game was 23-17, but it really wasn't a contest. The Jets in that game almost came they had a surge in the fourth quarter. But Rodgers had 54 pass attempts in that game for 244 yards. And I think he's been really bad against pressure this year. And the Vikings love to blitz. And, Steelers, I know the Bengals, they obviously don't have Joe Burrow. They do have better weapons than what the Steelers have to offer, and they absolutely got destroyed. I think it's another blowout game. I'm shocked by this line. I think the Vikings easily win by double digits in this game. I think defense is going to dominate Rodgers and suffocate this offense. So I have the Vikings easily covering the 2.5. I think it's gonna be another maybe it may not be 48-10, but I think it's gonna be a pretty easy victory for the Vikings in this one. The Steelers' 2 victories this year are over the over the Patriots and the Jets.
Yeah.
So 2 really bad AFC East teams. So I'm not really impressed by their 2-1 record at all. So Vikings easily -2. And did you have Vikings -2.5? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. Next game, and this line is it's moved now with Jane Daniels out, Terry McLaurin out. Commanders versus the Falcons. Falcons -2.5 at home. This kind of feels like almost must win, but at least the offense has to at least play well for the Falcons this one to feel like.
Yeah. I picked this one as +1, but I'll keep my opinion. Falcons upset me last week. I don't want to talk about this much. I want to bet this game, but just give me Falcons. They're going to have a comeback week, and they're just going to do it. Their defense, without Terry.
Are you betting on them at all?
No, I mean, I made that one bet where I made it the week in advance, sadly. But nothing I can do about that now. But, yeah, give me Falcons.
Yeah, Commanders I don't think are that good of a team. Marcus Mariota starting again. He was actually pretty solid last week, but I don't think the Falcons' defense is as bad as the Raiders. I think the Falcons kind of bounce back at home and what I think feels like a must win for them. And I think Michael Penix, I think you kind of see a simple offense this week. So you may see a lot of quick throws. Drake London operating more out of the slot, which he's had more success at. So I'll take the Falcons. Do you want to do +1? I can switch to +1?
I'm good with the -2.5.
Okay. I'll do Falcons -2.5. Then I think they may win by a field goal. But yeah, Terry McLaurin and Jane Daniels both being out, pretty worrisome. Daniels kind of feels both those injuries. I mean, Terry McLaurin's already been labeled as a week-to-week injury, but it seems like Daniels is probably also a week-to-week injury at this point. Saints versus the Bills. This one could be pretty quick. We know Bills are going to win this game. The spread's -15.5. Do we see a true just blowout in this game?
See, I had it at +15.5, but I thought about it, and I said Tyrell Shaver is going to score a touchdown. And if I'm guaranteeing scoring a touchdown, that means they're covering 15.5. So give me Bills -15.5.
Yeah, I'll agree as well. Not much thought. If this is Saints lost 44-13 last week against Seattle, and we talked about Seattle a lot. Defense, are they that good? Or are they not that good? But Bills, Josh Allen, they'll cover this line. Browns versus Lions, another double-digit line. Lions -10 in this one. The Browns did cover, I think it was like 8 or 8.5 last week, 7.5, somewhere in that line against the Packers and winning that game. Do you see them replicating that same, not winning, but possibly covering the spread?
This is one I was also very close on. When I was deciding, I was going back and forth. But I think one weakness about the Packers is they lose stupid games and they mess stuff up like that. I don't think Dan Campbell does that type of stuff because I'm not saying LaFleur's not great, but Dan Campbell's a dog. So I'm taking Lions -10. I know Browns defense may give them some early issues, but in the end, the Lions offense looks like it's really percolating. And they have so many weapons, and they're more talented offensively than the Packers, and the O-line is looking like it's playing much better for the Lions. So give me Lions -10.
Yeah, I'm going to take Lions -10 as well. They're at home. Browns won that game at home last week. And to me, the one thing you can point to the Browns is they have good defense, but Joe Flacco's going to get dominated by his defense. Aiden Hutchinson may have a 2 to 3 sack game. This may be the game where he blows up like last season where he was having those multi-sack games early in the year before his injury. I don't really see in Browns defense. I don't think you could really contain Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery and Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta, and maybe Jameson Williams breaks a long touchdown. I think there's just too many weapons, and Jared Goff at home is a much different quarterback on the road, even though he was very successful on the road last week. So I will take the Lions -10. Patriots versus the Panthers. This is the exact line it was last week when the Panthers played the Falcons, and we got burnt by taking the Falcons. Do the Patriots also somehow lose this 5.5 point spread?
So the Patriots should have beat the Steelers. They had 5 turnovers. I mean, a couple fumbles. Drake May did a couple stupid things. He played really well overall, but then he just made 2 or 3 stupid plays, which made his performance bad. It's like, okay, he has to cut those down. And I think the Panthers, they just beat the Falcons 30-0. I don't really believe in it. I think that was like all Falcons. I think Patriots should bounce back. So, yeah, give me Patriots -5.5. I feel they'll bounce back. I still think Christian Gonzalez is probably playing. I feel like there's a good chance he gets a pick because, Bryce Young. So, give me Patriots -5.5.
Yeah, I'm going to take Patriots. I'm going to take the Panthers to cover this line. I don't think it'll be like the game will be in jeopardy late, but I do think the Patriots win by 4 to 5 points in this one. So I think Panthers barely cover. Chuba Hubbard, I believe last time I looked, he was questionable. So if he doesn't play, it's really you have Rico Dowdle starting. Christian Gonzalez coming back is a huge deal, and there's as bad as Leggett is, he's out. They really only have Ted McMillan playing. Patriots, I think, should win this game, and this may be the game where we see more of Travion Henderson after the fumble issues from Antonio Gibson.
I think so too. I think so too.
Next game, Chargers versus the Giants. Jackson Dart making his first career start at home as 6.5 point underdogs. Anyway, Giants give the Chargers a scare in this one.
I think they could. I still think that pass rush can be good. I think that this may just bring an energy to the Giants that they desperately needed. I think it'll be interesting to see how Neighbors does after doing nothing. So yeah, but I also think that Dart will have some pains. But I think that with the little O-line concerns right now for the Chargers, I think they win, but I could see a backdoor cover with the Giants. So I'm gonna go Giants cover, but give me Chargers money line.
I have the same pick. Giants win, but Giants cover the 6, or Chargers win, but Giants cover the 6.5. I think this could be a game where we see the Chargers kind of shift the run game a little bit towards that side of the ball. Giants defense or run defense is allowing 5.3 yards per carry this season, and they've allowed 153 yards on the ground per game this season. Chargers can definitely, get what they want on the ground, and I still think Justin Herbert could take advantage in the play action game. So I'll take Chargers winning, but I do think this could be a game where Chargers have a double-digit lead and then Giants backdoor cover garbage touchdown late in the game. Mm-hmm. Eagles, Buccaneers. Eagles minus 3.5 on the road. Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin look like they're both going to play. They're both, them and Baker Mayfield are all listed as questionable, but it looks like all three will play. Anyway, they somehow beat the Eagles in this one despite being shorthanded. No Mike Evans and multiple other injuries.
Now, they have played really well against the Eagles in the past. I think they beat them the last few times. I mean, Baker seems to make big plays against them. I think it was 2 years ago when they beat them late, and then they beat them in the playoffs, and kind of everyone was like, Bucks are going to win. The Eagles are so bad. And I originally picked Bucks, but I have flipped it because I saw Baker is dealing with a bicep thing, and I bet he'll play, but I was just like, they're hurt.
There's a chance Baker's already pretty banged up. He's already taken a lot of hits this season.
He seemed like it's good he has Wirfs back, but it's also Wirfs' first game. We don't know how good Godwin will be, so I flipped it to Eagles minus 3.5. I think that maybe the offense, they pass the ball more. They do more after last week's second half, maybe Sirianni's like, okay, let's call a little more aggressively styled. And maybe Jalen Hurts plays a little more aggressive too. So give me Eagles to win and cover.
Yeah, I have the same pick. Eagles and the points. I think Eagles right now. This is one where the Bucks are just too beat up. And if they go 4-0, and then they have Seattle next week, it's just tough for me to see Buccaneers potentially being 5-0. Too beat up. Secondary's not that good. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, as long as this offense – I mean, we'll see. I don't know which, version of the offense we're going to get in this one. Are we going to get the first half offense or the second half offense that was forced to throw? If they're not forced to throw, it could be the same story as what's been this season. But I think they're healthier, more playmakers. Ibuka is Buccaneers' number one receiver right now, but he is a rookie. So it's a tough spot for him against Quinion Mitchell. And Chris Godwin, I think there's a chance he's just basically running cardio. I don't know how effective he's going to be in his first week off that injury as an older player as well. So I'll take the Eagles minus 3.5 as well. This next game, Titans versus Texans. Texans minus 7. I get why they're minus 7 points, but I'm also confused why they're favored by 7 points at the same time based on how their offense is playing. This is a kind of tricky one to pick, to be honest.
This feels like, it feels like everyone's going to pick Texans or Titans plus 7 and watch the Texans win by 20. But I'm going to pick Titans plus 7 just because the Texans have sucked so much. It's like, you got to show me something. And now, are they going to come out desperate? Yes. Are the Titans not that good? Yes. Still give me Titans plus 7. But give me Texans to win. I mean, I really hope you don't make me watch the Texans again.
I probably won't. Why would I do that?
Because we've watched them every week.
Well, no, because last week's games were pretty bad.
But still, there were better games than that.
But there was a point in time where we had a Texans game on last week because the other games were all. No, that was actually a game that was bad, but it was actually close.
But we also started with the Texans game, and I was like,
Well, we both had money on them. They were plus odds that game. It's a good moneymaker, team.
That just sucked. I don't need to watch
it. was bad. For me, Tennessee, multiple injuries on the offensive line. Brian Callahan is a bozo, not a good coach. I think this is a week where Texans may not even score that many points, but I'm going to take Texans minus the points. I think they cover. Tennessee, what does Tennessee have to offer? Calvin Ridley doesn't look like a good receiver. Tony Pollard's not getting any room behind the offensive line. Cam Ward threw a pick 6 on the first play of the game last week against the Colts. If this game's in Tennessee and this is the same line, I would take the Titans plus 7. But I think the Texans 0-3, desperate team. really good defense at home. I think their defense is the reason that they covered this line. I don't think the offense really does much, but I think the defense could get, a touchdown or two. Interesting game. So if we move on from that game, we go to this one. Colts versus the Rams. Rams minus 3.5. Colts are 3-0. As we mentioned earlier, Rams coming off a pretty tough loss that they probably should have won. This feels like not first true test because Denver was a good test and they passed that test, but this feels like another test for the Colts.
All my logic's telling me to pick the Rams. It's like the Rams just lost a close game. They have a good pass rush. Al Pierce is out, which I think is underrated. He's been pretty good. But I'm not picking against my boy Danny Dimes. I'm picking Colts to cover and win. You got to believe it. I'm believing it. Until they lose, I'm probably just not picking against them. I'm all in. All the logic says Rams, but my heart says Colts. And you know what? Daniel Jones, that's how he's playing. So maybe you just got to trust the heart instead of the logic. So give me Danny Dimes to ride this one home.
So I'll use the right side of your brain. I'm going to use the logic side. This is one where Rams, I think they're going to be much more focused. Like last week, I don't know if they lost their focus or whatever. I mean, they had 2 blocked field goals. They're at home in this one. The Colts have only punted once. That's just not going to be a sustainable thing. And 2 of their wins are against the Titans and Panthers. Not to take anything away, but 2 of their wins are against pretty weak opponents. I think Rams are a really damn good football team, especially when they're healthy. Stafford's still healthy, as it looks. I'm going to take Rams winning, but I will have Colts covering. I do think it's a close game, but I do think Rams in the end. I'll take Stafford and that coaching staff. I think Colts. I don't know if I'm going to trust them in games that are close situationally. Shane Steichen, the way he handled that Broncos game was somewhat alarming. The fact that they kind of settled for a field goal and they really escaped with that win. They got lucky. I'm going to take the Rams to bounce back this week against the Colts. Next game, and Brock Purdy has no injury designation, is expected to start. 49ers -3 against the Jags. I don't know if this line's moved since I made this prompt before we started recording. But now that Brock Purdy's playing, I'm guessing does that instill more confidence for you in the 49ers?
It does. And I mean, Mac Jones was a little hurt. I was coming into it assuming he was playing. I mean, I think he practiced once last week, at least a little bit. He practiced this week, so I assumed he was going to play, and I am all in on.
Do you know if Ricky Pearsall or do you know the updates?
It sounds like Ricky Pearsall is going to play too. He was literally like, I would have played today.
Okay.
I assume he's going to play. So give me Niners -3. They're the better team.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Niners and the points. I think the Jaguars. I think their offense is broken. I think it still shocks me that Shane Waldron gets jobs.
I'm not blaming this on Shane Waldron though.
I'm not either. I'm saying, but they
flipped this.
They misutilize their receivers.
He's a wide receiver coach. I don't think this is on Shane Waldron or what pass game coordinator. But this is still he's not the OC. He's pass game coordinator. He's not the OC. So, do you know what? I'm not going to blame the third coach in line for Brian Thomas not playing well. I don't know what it is, but I'm not blaming Shane Waldron.
Well, no, Trevor Lawrence is the main culprit for their and Jaguars. I just don't.
Brian Thomas didn't have a 100-yard game last year with Trevor. I think it was all with Mac.
Yeah, Trevor. He's just not a good quarterback. I don't know what it is. He's just not good. Their defense is quietly pretty decent, but I just don't trust. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to take Kyle Shanahan. They seem like they actually have a kicker now they could trust. And Brock Purdy being back, I think elevates the 49ers. The 49ers, are they 3-0? Yeah, they're 3-0. Yeah. So they could be 4-0 in this one. I have a tough time trusting Jaguars. So I'll take 49ers and the 3 points. Bears versus the Raiders. Raiders -1. Bears were in a similar spot last week being 1-point underdogs to the Cowboys. Do you see some game playing similar to that one? I know, Caleb had 4 touchdowns, 298 yards on 19 completions last week against Dallas. Raiders not that much better of a defense. But the
Raiders have not been great this year. But I was thinking about it a little more, and I'm like, you know what? Because I picked Bears last week. Like, I'm willing to, I don't believe in Caleb did look good, but also, the Cowboys stink defensively. I'm actually going to take the Raiders here. I was thinking about the Bears D-line, and it looks solid, but I think the Raiders, I'm just gut feel, their O-line's going to play better. It's all this talk about Genti, yards after contact. I think they play a little better. I think Geno has a better week. I think it's a close game, so it's not one I really want to bet. I think it's close, but I'm going to take the experienced quarterback to get it done. I think Geno will get it done this week. His back's against the wall a little bit. Whoever goes 1-3, you're just really I don't think either team's good, but whoever goes 1-3, you're just that's bad. So give me Raiders.
I think this is a huge game for the Bears. They're hanging into their bye next week. If you go 2-0 before your bye after falling 0-2, I think that's gonna be a major lift for them. I'm gonna take the Bears in this one. I took the Raiders last week. I got burnt pretty badly. They got dominated by Commanders, and I don't think Commanders are as good, or they're not as good as people thought before the year. And I definitely think Bears have more talent. And I know that the only question mark with the Bears right now offensively is just Caleb Williams. Which version of him will you get? I think he'll probably take advantage of this matchup again against the Raiders defense, and I think he does enough to win this game. I don't trust Geno. I don't really trust the Raiders coaching staff, and I'm going to take Ben Johnson and the Bears in this one. And it's going to be a close game. But I'm not picking the Raiders again after what they did to me last weekend. If Ashton Jeanty doesn't get going this game, as you mentioned, the Bears' defensive line not that strong. I don't know when he's going to get going. Not a great run defense by the Bears. No Jalen Johnson. But right now, the Raiders, to me, I think the coaching hire was overhyped. The quarterback acquisition they made was overhyped. I think a lot of it was just they got Geno Smith and Pete Carroll together. Pete Carroll, his last few years in Seattle was not that good. Just objectively, he was not that good. So I don't think he comes in and makes a huge difference. But I'm taking the Bears in this one on the road. Last game in the 3:00 slate, Ravens and the Chiefs. We'll be obviously watching this one very closely. Ravens -2.5 on the road. But, they've had their issues with the Chiefs in the past, but this is a different Chiefs team. Can the Chiefs, take advantage of the Ravens' defensive shortcomings, or does Ravens offense propel them in this one?
I think the Chiefs offense, I've picked every game right for the Chiefs so far because I'm objective. I don't think the offense is ready to win this game. I think the offense may look a little better, but in the end, the Ravens offense is just so good right now. And I don't think the Chiefs have the pass rush that the Lions do. Secondary is playing pretty well, but it just feels like a Ravens win. If Ravens lose, that's really bad for the Ravens. I do think that this teeters around Chiefs covering, actually, because they kind of play these games kind of close.
So
but
you have the Chiefs.
No, I say they teeter around it, but I'm going to have Ravens cover in the end. I do think it's actually not a bad game of football. That's my bold prediction. It's not going to be a bad game of football.
This one is so tough for me to choose because everything tells you Ravens should win this game. They're playing better. Offense is more explosive. What scares me about the Ravens is we talked about this earlier. They don't play to their strengths against good teams. They really don't. They kind of cater away from that. Could that cost them in this game? Potentially. I think Chiefs defend Zay Flowers very well. Isaiah Likely, I think he's going to play in this game. He practiced in full today. I'm going to take the Ravens in this game. I do think Chiefs. I think and I'm curious where you stand on this, but for me, I think this is a more important game for the Chiefs. Obviously, both teams don't want to be 1-3, but I think the Ravens can overcome a 1-3 start within their division. If they lose this game, I still think they win their division pretty easily. Chiefs,
I
if you lose,
disagree.
You're 1-3, but let's say Chiefs lose their 1-3 and Chargers are 4-0. I think it's much tougher to overcome than what the Ravens have in there.
But okay, well, you're talking about a division standpoint. I'm just saying if the Ravens go 1-3 and their third losses to this bad Chiefs team, they lose to again. I think that's a season man, this is not going well. So that's why I think the Chiefs were kind of if we go 1-3, we're kind of expecting the 2-4 and we're preparing to get ourselves out of the hole. I think the Ravens, they're 1-3. They're what the heck happened? So I honestly think it's more important for the Ravens. Because the Chiefs, they've also done it more.
I get that. Especially for Ravens, mentally, if you can't beat the Chiefs at this current state, and you've had trouble with them throughout Lamar's career, he's only beat them once, and it was really a game that Chiefs should have won. They were up 35-24. Mahomes throws that bad pick. Clyde fumbles the ball when they're in field goal range. I think he's 1-4, 1-5 against the Chiefs in his career.
1-5, I think.
1-5. For me though, and we'll see what Xavier Worthy does. I don't really view Xavier Worthy as like this really good receiver. I think he's just a speedster. But I think the Ravens do enough offensively, and if they stick to their identity, they should win this game. Now, will they? I have no idea because they never do in these really pivotal games. But I think they do enough offensively to win this game. I'll take them and the points. Now that I'm picking the Ravens, Chiefs probably win this game, but I'm going to take the Ravens. Sunday Night Football. Micah Parsons return to Dallas in front of Jerry Jones. The Packers are -7 at the moment. And Jerry Jones just gave, Micah Parsons even more bulletin board material today with his stupid comments.
I didn't see this.
His comment was basically like, we know how to play against Micah Parsons. He was here, and we didn't win any Super Bowls. Like, it's like
he likes to do this overall. Did we win? No, that was
good trade. And I'll look it up. I'll look it up while you are.
I know Jerry Jones at this point. I just don't care. Packers coming off a bad loss. Micah Parsons effect. Not much for me to break down here. Packers -7.
Yeah, Packers. They've eliminated Cowboys the last 3 times they've played in the playoffs. Last time they played, Jordan Love they dropped 48 points on the Cowboys. Everybody is saying this is Matthew Golden's breakout game. I wouldn't mind it for our dynasty team, fantasy football wise, but I'm going to take the Packers and the points here. No CeeDee Lamb. Their Cowboys offensive line's a bit banged up. I saw Tyler Booker was hurt, and I
don't think he's playing.
Yeah, he's not playing. Run game, I think Javonte, he's played well, but I don't think he's going to get the run game going as he's had these past few weeks. I'll take the Packers -7. Once again, we have 2 Monday night games this week. Not a huge fan. Jets, Dolphins. I'm shocked that these two teams actually got a Monday night, matchup in prime time. Jets versus Dolphins. Both teams own 3. Dolphins are 2.5 point favorites.
I'm checking the over. I think the over hits. Over is 45. I honestly think this is going to be kind of a high-scoring game-ish.
And I think Fields is playing, so
yeah. And I think Tua. I think Tua's going to have a great game. Tua's going to have a good game. He's going to play well. Jets defense is not good, honestly, which is weird. But, give me Dolphins -2.5. I honestly think this could be like a 31-21 type of game.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins, Tua cost them late, obviously, in the game against Buffalo, but they stuck around that game. It was tied 21-21 the fourth. They were actually about to get the ball back before a roughing the puncher call, which, that's the Dolphins for you. But I'm going to take Dolphins as well. I just don't think the Jets, it wouldn't surprise me if Jets actually won this game. But if Dolphins went 0-4, is Tyreek Hill traded in the next 2 weeks or so if they lose this game? I'm going to take Dolphins in the points at home. But I do think it's I think this game could be a 3-point game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. Final game of the Week 4 slate, Bengals versus the Broncos. The Broncos are 7.5 point favorites. Any chance of upset in this one, or any chance of Bengals giving the Broncos issues?
I think the Broncos, this is their bounce back. I think that they very well could be 3-0. They get the extra day. I think Bo Nix isn't going to miss these deep throws. I think Bengals may have back-to-back slaughters. I think this is a bounce back. The pass rush looked a lot better against the Chargers. It's been okay, but now they kind of picked it up, and you're not facing a good O-line. I think big Bo Nix game. Bo Nix, Tua, each going to have really good games, in my opinion. Give me Broncos to cover.
I have Broncos winning by Bengals covering. Broncos have showed me no reason to trust that they're going to cover a big line as this. They had the Tennessee Titans week 1. I think that line was 8, and they won by 8 points. I do think Bengals, ironically, I think the Bengals, because the Broncos have struggled and blown the last 2 games, actually is more harmful. Like, the Bengals would prefer if the Broncos won last week or whatever, because then you would kind of see a game last week like the Packers and Browns where the Packers kind of sleptwalk through the game. But now the Broncos have blown 2 leads. They're going to play with more urgency. They're not going to take this game for granted. So I do think they win, but I do think the Bengals do enough to cover. I don't see a blowout in this game. I don't trust Bo Nix right now, and nothing for me. The Broncos have done nothing to show me that you can trust them to blow a team out. And I know Bengals are not that good of a team, but I'm not as big on Bo Nix as you. I'm not saying like you're a huge Bo Nix guy, but I really don't see it with him that much.
The Vikings hadn't showed it, and then they won by 45.
Vikings may also have had a better quarterback starting last week than they've had.
Carson Wentz. I mean, yeah, but still,
right now.
It's not like he did nuts. Carson Wentz didn't do it.
No, I know, but he did. But he was more competent than J.J. McCarthy has been.
I know, but it's not like he did a lot. So J.J. McCarthy would have also won by 20 something.
Yeah. So that will do it for our Week 4 picks. Anything else you want to mention before we close out today's episode?
No, sirree.
All right. Well, that will do it for episode this week. We'll be back next week, as always, with our recap from this week's games and a look ahead into Week 5 of the 25 NFL season. Make sure to subscribe and like the video.
Peace.